This clip of Vivek Ramaswamy, who is a former candidate to be president of the United States, where he talks about Israel, and this was just after October 7th, what Israel should be doing. I think it's so powerful. You know, he is someone that was saying, you know, Israel and America should stop supplying aid to Israel. Whatever you think of that, and I think he actually was trying to make that in a positive sense. He's saying he wants Israel to have sovereignty. You'll see in this clip that that's what he meant, which I would welcome. Have a watch of what he proposes. I would add, by the way, that you should know that the aid that America supplies to Israel actually is aid for them to purchase American weapons. So it all kind of goes back into America anyway, and it benefits America's interests. But even if not, I'm just saying this at the start because I think that Vivek, he does, what he says here shows that he does, I think he does really respect Israel's interests. But he's proposing here some radical stuff that I think is actually reflective of the situation on the ground and the truth and of history and of Israel's divine destiny. This is really powerful stuff here. Have a watch.
My view is that now is the moment for Israel to return to its founding premise. The Jewish state has an absolute right to exist. A divine gift, gifted to a divine nation, charged with a divine purpose. Israel has an absolute and unequivocal right and responsibility to defend itself to the fullest, applying the only language that its adversaries understand, the language of force. So what would David Ben-Gurion say today? He would say, don't depend on anybody else's fleeting sympathies or permission to do it. If Israel wants to destroy Hamas, Israel should go ahead and destroy Hamas. I'm just getting started. If Israel wants to destroy Hezbollah, Israel should go ahead and destroy Hezbollah. If Israel and Mossad want to pull off Munich 2.0 and take out every last leader of Hamas, wherever they may be hiding from Doha to Dresden, host a red wedding at the Four Seasons in Qatar, the next time Haniyeh and Mashal show up, they should go ahead and do it. If Israel wants to at long last abandon the myth of a two-state solution, Israel should go ahead and abandon a two-state solution. The rest of the Arab world can absorb Palestinians just as the Jews absorbed their people out of 22 countries they were kicked out of since 1948. The Islamic world cannot continue to condone the slaughtering of Jews while continuing to disown the Palestinians. That is the hard truth, that neither member of either political party is willing to speak out loud to the Arab world. I will. But these are decisions for Israel to make. America. I am not running for president of Israel. I am running for president of the United States. And just as it is time for Israel to return to its founding premise, it is time for us here in the U.S. to return to ours.
That really is a remarkable speech. And I think it's powerful coming from someone that's not Israeli, that's not Jewish, and whose primary interest actually is America. But to hear him say what he said, I think every single person that cares about Israel and the Jewish people, and certainly every single Jew and Israeli, should take note of what was just said here. He was saying, first of all, if Israel wants to wipe out all its enemies, it has every right to do that. If someone, as the Talmud said, if someone rises to kill you, come and kill them first. That is moral. That is right. Enough with the suicidal moral compass of some people in the West that say, de-escalate, de-escalate. Killing someone that's trying to kill you is a de-escalation. Number two, abandoning the myth of a two-state solution. He's absolutely right. And then, people say, but, there needs to be hope for the Palestinians. Excuse me, we tried a two-state solution with Gaza. It's not just a theoretical thing anymore. We tried it, and our answer was Hamas being elected and October 7th. Never, ever again. So then, people say, well, okay, so what's your proposal? One state? And some people, even in the pro-Israel camp, some people even on the right, they say, yeah, we can have like maybe some kind of federation where we can't give them, all the Arabs their democratic rights, because then we won't have a Jewish state anymore. So then we'll have some kind of local autonomy. I think it's a bit mad, to be honest, because, you'll end up with the world saying you're not all having the same rights and this is not fair, and more than that, are they going to be limited just to that area? And if not, then there's going to be more terror and security attacks. Would you risk your children's future with that kind of risk? So the obvious solution for both sides, by the way, will be to look at the Arab world reabsorbing their fellow Arabs. Imagine that. Just as Israel reabsorbed way more Jews than Arabs that were displaced in the 1948 war, Israel absorbed Jews that were nearly 1 million Jews that were kicked out of Arab lands in 1948 into Israel. He said, why can't the Arab world do the same when, quite frankly, they have 100 times the land mass of Israel? Israel's this tiny sliver of land. It's absurd. And by the way, aside from having around 52 Arab and Islamic states in the world, 100 times the size of Israel, there's also already technically a Palestinian majority state, which is Jordan, run by a minority, the Hashemite kingdom, which they don't seem to be so bothered by. Yet they're bothered by Israel, and not having full autonomy inside of Israel with the Jews. It's also hypocritical. But he's right, and when people say that's outrageous, how can you say that? Well, Israel's tried for 100 years to live alongside them, and look what's happened. And actually, for both sides' well-being, I know that if I was an Arab, I would much rather live in other parts of the Arab world than in Judea and Samaria or Gaza, because I would know that there's going to be a huge instinct within my people to try and terrorize the Jews and destroy the Jewish state because of the history of, Islam, basically, and what it says about conquering territory and the Dar al-Islam, the House of Islam, expanding that. So I'd know that it's just likely that I'm going to be facing war and conflict the whole time, and that'd be bad for me. So for everyone's interests, it will be better to look at Vivek's proposal. And by the way, President Trump proposed this recently for the people of Gaza. I don't know whether he's going to follow through in it, but that was a proposal of his. So it's actually very sensible. But the thing that I found most compelling of all, most remarkable of all, was Vivek, who I think he's Hindu. For him to say this, that it's time for Israel to go back to its founding principles, which was what? To be a divine nation with a divine purpose. That is remarkable, coming from someone that's not even from the monotheistic tradition of the West, but who understands this, that is the Jewish people's role, to be a light to the nations. And that, by the way, happens to be the thing that the Arab and Islamic world will respect. They think Israel's this phony, secular, Western colonial entity. If we say, no, we really are the Jews of the Torah, of the Bible, who are living in the land God assigned to them, we will have a lot more respect. It's the two things, the two components I've been talking about that Israel needs to pursue, that I think will change the dynamics in the region, were touched on in this speech by Vivek. Talking with our divine spiritual tone and destiny and justification. And number two, using strength, uncompromising strength. Those are the two things that the Arab and Islamic world will respect. So, great speech by Vivek, and all of us should take note. Before we wrap up, I want to share something important with you. The entire anti-Israel movement is built on one central accusation, that in 1948, Israel stole the land, and ever since, Palestinians have simply been resisting. But what if everything we've been told about this story is untrue? What if the real history of 1948 shows not Arabs being forced out, but Jews, while seeking peace, having to fight for their survival against a genocidal enemy that willed its destruction long before Israel's re-establishment? Have a watch of the trailer for our new, groundbreaking and essential documentary entitled What Really Happened in 1948. And if you want to see the full film, just click the link in the video description. In 1948, the world witnessed the rebirth of the Jewish state, the State of Israel. A moment celebrated as a miracle of survival and self-determination after centuries of persecution and the horrors of the Holocaust. Yet for decades, this event has been twisted into a narrative of theft and catastrophe, with the so-called Nakba portrayed as Israel's original sin, where Jews allegedly stole Arab land and displaced innocents in a premeditated act of ethnic cleansing. But what if this story is fundamentally inverted? What if the cause and effect are the other way around? Not Israel aggressively seizing territory and Arabs responding in self-defense, but Arabs, driven by deep-seated hatred, rejecting the Jews' legal and historical rights to live in their ancestral homeland and waging a genocidal war long before Israel's re-establishment. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to uncover the unvarnished truth about 1948, the centuries of pogroms and anti-Semitic violence that set the stage, the Arab leaders' explicit calls for extermination, and the defensive war Israel fought to secure its existence. We'll challenge the pervasive lies head-on, showing how Arab rejection of peace wasn't about creating a Palestinian state, but about denying Jews the right to live at all. From the Nazi-allied leader of the Arabs in Palestine, the Mufti al-Husseini, to the forgotten occupations by Jordan and Egypt, where no Palestinian state was even considered, this is the story of a conflict rooted not in displacement, but in whether the Jews deserve to live in their homeland. Join us as we debunk the myths with facts, confront the historical record fairly but firmly, and reveal why 1948 was not an act of aggression, but a righteous response to annihilation. This is what really happened in 1948. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.